full year of freeform. March 1st made my first year, man. It's been great. It's been great.
Yo, what's good, YouTube? D Shower here, back with another video for you guys on this great Sunday, man. I hope you guys feeling good, man. Today we're gonna be talking about. This is a very important video. This is gonna be a long video as well, man. Today you guys gonna see where I've evolved from in my mindset to where I am now. How I've evolved from a, a small child to what I am now. So let's get into it. So let me give you a little backstory. I was the only child growing up. So that meant I was to myself a lot of the time. And while I was to myself, I was able to think and observe my surroundings and how things were working in the world. I remember at a very young age being curious, just like every other child, we're curious. But I was questioning things that I didn't feel like was supposed to be normal. Like in this construct of reality, some things aren't organic. Like I could tell something wasn't right. Like things were being put in my path and the people in my lives path for a reason, but it wasn't beneficial to us. So I knew at a very young age that things weren't right, but that began my search for answers. That gave me that made me search for answers and try to figure out why we're living how we're living. At a very young age, I also knew that I was different when it came mindset wise. I was very different. I didn't think like the normal child did. I questioned everything. With me being the only child, I couldn't really ask anybody questions. I only ask myself. So with that being said, I was never a follower. I never fit in with the crowd. I always knew my place in society. I always knew my place when it came to friend groups and how I moved when it came to different children, how I moved in different environments. I played to my strengths, knowing that I was the only child and you could say shy. I wasn't really shy, but I was to myself always, and I played to that strength. I was able to play with myself, play by myself, and make myself entertained, as you would say. And I'm gonna fast forward to high school. Around the age of 16 to 17 was very critical in my journey. Like at 16, 17, in that puberty stage, that's when my mind started to elevate. I start that's when I really knew I was different. I had already knew I was different, but that's when I knew mentally I was different from everybody else. So in that 16, 17 age range, that's when, like Dick Gregory said in that video, that's when I put the glasses on. That's when I started, that's when my brain went to a whole different level. Like, that's when I knew I was different. Like, so when I put my glasses on, that led to me, when I say put my glasses on, that means I became more aware of this construct, like I said, this matrix. That's when I came into awareness of this collective conscious thinking. Um, Around that age, that's when I grew my locks out. That's when I started to grow my hair. And when I grew my hair, I started to seek information, and that's when I found Zaylock 23, which he's still a YouTuber. He grew freeform locks, and he inspired me to grow freeform locks because with Zaylock 23, he transitioned into a holistic lifestyle. He transitioned into a more natural lifestyle, the lifestyle that I desire now. He transitioned into that, and that gave me a vision of how I wanted to be when I grew up in the next couple years. He was very important to my journey because he really opened my eyes. when it came to living naturally. Zaylock showed me how you can challenge the system. Like I said earlier, when I was younger, I questioned everything. So as I got older, that only got worse. I was looking at everything, questioning why they worked, how they worked, why they act, how they act. I questioned everything. And when Zaylock transitioned into that more natural lifestyle, and he was going against the grain, he was going against the collective consciousness, he was going against what everybody else was doing. He was getting in tune with nature. He was getting more information about who he is and how this world worked. And that's what led me to do what I did. That's how I elevated. That's how I transitioned into a more natural lifestyle. So let me fast forward. With me being able to question everything, I was essentially going against the grain myself. Because when I grew my locks out, I was growing the free form, so they wasn't manicured or anything. They was growing out how they naturally supposed to grow out. Because our hair is like trees. We're supposed to grow them out like branches. So that's what I was doing. But around that 16, 17-year old age, I had to get a job. I was getting up into that age where I had to work, where I had to hustle, get some money. And that's when my parents or my mom made me cut my hair. But I'm sure my dad wasn't in agreement with it, when agreement with me growing my hair out. But they made me cut my hair off in order to get a job. And at that point, I knew that this definitely isn't right. And I was mad about it, really. And I made an excuse for me cutting it off to other people when they asked me why I cut it off. And I gave them an excuse, but I had to cut it off because they wanted me to cut it off. And eventually, I got a job. And at that point, that's when I fell off the wagon when it came to elevating my mind, when it came to getting more information on who I am. I really fell off at that point. And it took me a long time to get back. It took me up to now to really get back into finding out who I am. J-Lock showed me what it was like to go against the grain and be able to live on your own terms, live in your own reality, create your own reality. He showed me that plant-based lifestyle, and at that point, I knew that's what I was going to do in life. He inspired me. So at that point, I was still in high school, 16, 17-year-old age, and I cut my locks off to get this job, and I knew that wasn't right. So senior year, I knew I had to get some money. We got to get some money. I got to be able to get in my own space to create my own reality. It's going to be very hard to stay in that old environment and try to create something new. So I knew I had to put on my bootstraps and get to work to be able to get money and be able to self-sustain myself. With me put my boots on and getting to work, I slowly, like I said before, I transitioned till I went back asleep. I tried to take the glasses off. You can't take the glasses off. I tried to take the glasses off, and I went back into that third dimensional being, concentrated in that third dimensional world, and I started living like the common man. I started doing what everybody else was doing, and at that point too, I was already into video games, but I was into it very heavy. So I wasn't getting no outside communication, like for real. Like I wasn't getting those social hangouts while I was in high school and even middle school. I wasn't socializing with my peers. So I was playing this game 24/7 and being to myself. That kind of diminished me. That kind of diminished my personality. They kind of took me out of who I'm supposed to be. I I was I shrunk myself basically. So I continued living the life of this common man up until last year. I put those glasses back on because now I'm comfortable, but it's not what, like I said, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not living that holistic lifestyle. I put those glasses back on and I'm like, man, something's got to change. And it really got worse within the last 6 months. But in the last year, something's got to change because me going to work for this man every day for the next 20 years, because I had already knew that I wasn't working for nobody past 40, but I didn't know how to do that. But let's go back to the topic at hand. I knew I'm not going to be doing this forever. I'm not going to be giving somebody else my energy for just for money. That's not it. So within the last 6 months, it got worse. And that's when I had to get intentional about getting back to source energy. At that point, let me go back to 16, 17 years old. At that point, I was looking at religions, and at one point, I feel like I thought I was atheist. Like, I was, in that point, I was going through a lot of information, trying to figure out who I am. So I thought I was atheist at one point, and I thought I was gonna transition to being a Muslim at one point. Like I was really going through identity crisis, trying to find out who I am, man. And that's that's what stage I'm in now. I put those glasses back on and I continue on my journey. So you're gonna have bumps in the road when it comes to figuring out how you, where you are and how you gonna live your life. And I'm at that point now where I'm getting back to source energy and moving how I'm supposed to move. I'm trying to pick up where I left off. And me being intentional with finding my purpose, finding out how I'm supposed to live life, the last 6 months has been transformative. Like, let's say about 2 years ago, I never would have thought I'd even be on YouTube making videos. Like, I never would have thought that. But me getting back connected with source, I have a new source of confidence. My self esteem is getting higher. Like I feel like I'm moving how I was always supposed to move, and I love that for me. And I want you guys, if you haven't already got into that state or where you're uncomfortable and you know you can be better, that's what I want you guys to experience as well. That's what this is all about. This is why I make this channel, so I could take you all along a journey of me connecting with my higher self and walking in the image of the creator, walking at this great being I am already, but how I envision myself to be. Okay. So in conclusion, we're gonna start back from the bottom. Like I said, from where I've evolved from. I knew at a very young age that how the collective consciousness is moving that isn't the way I should be moving or how most of us should be moving. I saw no sense of individuality, and I knew this wasn't right. So I got on the search to becoming my own person, becoming to understand who I am and how I'm supposed to move. I remained observant and quiet of those around me in the environments I was in. I was able to sit back and see how my family moved, how my peers moved, how adults period moved. And I began to put people in these categories, understanding who they are and why they think this way. Why do I think this way? And why am I following this train of thought? In high school, that's when I really began to figure out, well, wonder, like, who am I? Like, that's when when I started growing my locks out, that's when I was really trying to find out who I am. And when I cut them off, that's when I feel like I took those glasses off. I tried to take those glasses off, and that's when I became lost. I didn't have no direction of where I was going because I wasn't tapped in with source energy. So I became one with the collective consciousness again. I became a drifter, like they say in Outwitting the Devil. After high school, I knew I had to find a way to get in my own space, to get in my own environment, to being able to be in my own environment to create that better version of me, to find out who I am. I knew you had to be in a different environment to do that because I couldn't do it in my old environment because they have that old way of thinking. So I got on the grind. I put my boots on. We got to learn how to do something so I can be self-sustaining, be able to move how I want to, not being governed by anybody else. So I got after high school, I got to it. I'm trying to get to a bag. That was the mindset I was in. So now up until the last year, I found I was lost, but up until the last year, that's when I really tapped back in with source. For the last 6 months, that's when I tapped back into source because as I'm living this common life, I know this isn't right. And now I'm starting to get comfortable living this common life. And I'm getting to a point where no, this isn't right. We got to make something happen because I can't do this for the next 20, 30 years of my life. I can't do it. It's not natural. I knew from a young age it wasn't natural. So I knew as I'm getting comfortable in my career that no, this isn't right. So I got to change something up. So in the last 6 months, I became intentional with finding my purpose and figuring out how I'm going to get to that next level of where I want to be as an individual. So I got back into studying self, starting to create my ultimate life, how I envisioned myself when I was young, how I envisioned myself doing something more with myself, creating the best version of me, and being able to be that beacon of light for the ones that are coming under me or the ones that I birth. I want to be that beacon of light to see that there's something different out here for me to attain. So moving in the energy I'm moving in now, I can create my new reality and be a example for my sisters or anybody observing me who's looking up to me. I can be that and they can see that it's something else that's possible in the world. So that's all for this video, man. This was really a great video, man. Like I feel like y'all really gonna get into the mind of who I am and where I've come from and where I'm going and where I am now. I feel like y'all really got it. I just spilled the beans. So I appreciate you guys for listening, man. I appreciate you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, man. Try to bring somebody else along the journey because we're going up, man. We on a different type of time. We on a different energy. We on that source energy. We moving in a different direction. So share it with your peers, man. So we can move higher. We can hit higher levels of vibration. So appreciate you guys for watching, man. Peace.
Dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.